Hello, welcome back to the channel. So this is part 2 of my Victory at Sea videos. In the other video I talk about this was completely unexpected for us. I wasn't planning on doing or picking up the Victory at Sea start set, but managed to get a ridiculously good deal at Claymore and I couldn't turn it down. And another guy in the club got a set as well, so at least I've got an opponent to play some games with. So in this video I'm going to talk about the ships themselves, the models, show off what I've done, some of the decisions I made with painting them, and some of the top tips for painting them. Without further ado, to the rule book. Again, really simple set of rules. So this is my Japanese fleet, so I'd consider this done. So as you can see, you've got 3 heavy cruisers, 3 destroyers. What I've decided to do for the Japanese was darker hulls with lighter wood decking. You'll see here as well that I've done a bit of the sort of wave effects on the water. I'm not trying to match them to the mats. I've gone for a relatively simple the ultramarine blue contrast paint, dry brush or something like Calidor Sky, and then picking out some details with the whites for the waves, but I think I'll talk about that later on. So a bit of a close-up on the Japanese. Most of this stuff was done with dry brushing for the hull, and I used Basilicanum Grey. I'd sprayed the ships, so either grey sea or white, can't quite remember right now. Basilicanum Grey for the hulls, and you can see with the dry brush there, really picks out the detail. For the decking, I thought I would do contrast decking, and I think I used snakebite leather. But the thing about contrast paints over flat panel, and sometimes it pools inconsistently, so then I've painted over it with a shafted bone. Lifeboats I've picked out in white, and the guns, naval guns, I've picked out in black. And then once that's all done, just a wee dry brush of white over top of it. I did the ship plates names with just a wee dry brush as well. It's another picture of my ships. Don't think my gun turrets all sat in as nicely as they could have done, but you know what, from a distance they look okay. Bit of a close-up, and actually you can see how the dry brushing has really looked like I've edge highlight everything, but yeah, that's the power of dry brushing. That's come up really nice. That's a wee destroyer. Again, a bit more detailed work. And actually one of the advantages of putting the snakebite leather contrast down and then putting the shafted down is I've left that darker line where the 2 colours join, and that just adds to the effect of the ships. So that's the 2 sides of the starter set facing off against each other. Obviously the Japanese is finished. Let's start looking at the Americans in a wee bit more detail. So as I said before, I did a darker Basilicanum Grey hull with a shafted bone. For the Americans, I went for a darker wood with a lighter hull. So Griffcharger Grey contrast paint for the hull. And again, I think I started off with Steel Legion for the hull itself, but then I've put a Steel Legion drab over top of it. So that's them there. You can see actually I really like that grey for battleships. It comes up really nicely, picks out loads of detail. Now, one of the things I did do was I was disrupted building these models, and I went to answer the door and pick up a parcel. And when I came back where this paintbrush is pointing, I just couldn't find that piece. It's gone, and I've deconstructed my hobby area. I've looked around everywhere, couldn't find it anywhere. But yeah, I think that Griffcharger Grey looks really good on the models. So that's the cruisers all lined up together, and actually that missing section at the back, it's not the end of the world, is it? So looking at the methodology, so what I've done is sprayed them white. answers my question from earlier. Then I've put the contrast on, the decking first, and you see where I've got it on. And as you see, I'm not being terribly neat there. There is bits where it's splashed on. These are quite small models. This is destroyers we're working on. I've then taken a white and just touched up those bits on the hull and stuff where the contrast had splashed, and then I've put grey sear over everything. Not grey sear at all, Griff Charger grey over everything. You see how that's really brings out the detail. Honestly, these ships in contrast, boom. And I've not even looked at maybe zenithal highlighting. What I've done here is put the Steel Legion drab over top. Not 100% sure I like the way that Steel Legion drab is finished on this. A couple of things I might try, and I'm still thinking about it, is maybe throwing another contrast over top, a thinner contrast, or get some Karak stone and paint some wee lines on so it almost looks like wood grain. Obviously the wood grain would be massively out of scale, but it might just give the effect that I want. Next stage I've done, and I should have done this before I did the wood, dry brushed it. Picked out everything there with a wee bit of dry brushing. Then I've gone back in, I've tidied up the Steel Legion drab a bit more, and I've picked out all the guns with some black. The final bit I've also done, as you can see it, especially around the back guns, is where the two colours join. I've put a wee null oil. Now the new formulated null oil is kind of thinner. It covers cracks and it doesn't stain everything as much, so I've been able to apply that just to help the two colours stand out. So there you go, that is my simple guide to getting some tabletop standard Victory at Sea done really quickly, and looking pretty effective if I go back, even if I do say so myself, to the Japanese. And sometimes it is trial and error. Sometimes you will have a plan like the Steel Legion drab not quite working the way I wanted to, so I'm just going to throw something over top to make it pop. So I think the Japanese are looking pretty good there. But anyway, that's my Victory at Sea painting. That's where I am with the models. I do have some time off this week, so hopefully my third video will be out pretty soon. And I look forward to chatting to you in another video. Put my teeth in. Right, catch you later. Goodbye.